the regions of the brain being controlled by the smell cortex of our nose and the two nostrils, that is the left hand side and the right hand side. These two nostrils have that what we call the asset of those nerves, those system of nerves that is spreading around and controlling thousands of our actions we do and perform in our day-to-day lives, our interpersonal relationships, in our work field, in our day-to-day life, in our personal life, whatever we do, the decision-making skills, the ability to perform, the success, the failure, the fight, the love emotions, the romantic emotions, any emotions that is connected with the day-to-day functioning of the human cognition. The entire cognition growth is being influenced by those two nostrils and the nerve tissues. By mindful breathing and being aware of, by accumulating the knowledge and doing the thing rightly, you can partially take control of whatever is happening in your life. And this has been just discovered by the science. This has not been given built, this has not been designed by the science. Science is just letting us know and giving us information as per its research. That was something else or developed to an extent years ago. Today it has developed to this extent, and it is developing more and more. Researchers are coming up and new things science is discovering, but we have to keep this thing in our mind that it is the supreme consciousness who has designed it. This irrespective of the fact, regardless of whether you're a believer or a non-believer, there is that supreme consciousness that has some power that years ago when the existence came into force, at that point of time it designed it all. And in that design, this is just a very micro, tiny part of that macro design that has been given to us by that supreme consciousness. And in order to make the benefit of it, we have to do introspect on the right things. Stop introspecting and overthinking, and stop introspecting and interpreting the events that we have already lived. This is the moment that has passed by, and now if I think and introspect that what have I done wrong and I have to learn something from it. It's good to learn something from your past event, but when you employ your mechanisms and your mind to think on it, then you're doing something. You are not taking advantage, I am not taking advantage of those nerve tissues, of those first hand side and the right hand side of those nostrils that is controlling the entire digestive system as well as the brain cognition system of our body, that is controlling the functioning and everything that we are doing at this point of time. The talking that I'm doing, the listening that you are doing, anything, even surfing a video, any action, even the involuntary breathing that you're doing, that is controlled by those tissues in the nostrils. Breathe through your nostrils. That is a very important part when we say that do mindful breathing. Let's make use of our nostrils and give it a try for 15 days, and you will see result for yourselves how it is controlling and how it is enhancing our cognition when we do mindful breathing by making use of our nostrils. Breathe out, do inhaling and exhaling through your nostrils, and be very mindful of that smell cortex. Be very mindful of the nerve tissues, because there is that tissue inside that gets activated whenever you breathe. Even when you breathe mindfully, it is more and more alert, because how it is working, it is the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous tissue. It is the nervous system that is working, that has been divided in two divisions, and that is enabling us and guarding our functions. Because whenever we come across some unforeseen situation, there is some trouble that we see, so what we call is the troubleshooting, what we call is the brainstorming. Whenever we mentally prepare ourselves, the defense mechanism that we think that we are doing and protecting ourselves, even before we come into action consciously, unconsciously, there is that supreme consciousness has blessed us with that device, with that weapon, and that is inside that nostrils, those tissues that are doing the action for us with activating the sympathetic nervous system. Where is it? It is in the right hand side, that for any potential threat that we come across, there is somebody, some threat outside our door, some kind of thief who has come to hunt us or who's come to loot us, any wrong person you have met in your life, you feel though this person is going to harm me. So before you come to know about it, it is your nerve tissue inside of your right hand side nostril, right hand side hemisphere, which sends a signal to your brains, which sends signals to your amygdala, which which releases those emotional hormones and mentally prepares you. And at that very moment, the left hand side of your nostril, it stimulates the feedback system, it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. What does it do? The parasympathetic nervous system restores the energy of those defense mechanisms or those weapons that have been given to the right hand side nostrils. Your right side nostril is at work, preparing, getting alert, and protecting you from every potential threat. And at that very moment, so that it doesn't get over exhausted, it doesn't get overworked, and it exhausts all the energy out, it restores that energy and calms the mind down, the left hand side nostril. So the two tissues has been systematically designed in such a way that it is jointly working for us, and it's mentally preparing us. Whatever we are doing, it is not in full control of our hands. When we think that we are manifesting something or implying the things of the techniques of the law of attraction, it is not just we who are doing it unconsciously. It is the internal design of our system. It is the Swayat Tantrika Pranali, Swayat Tantrika Tantra in Sanskrit it is called. It is the Swas Mandal, that is the breathing inside, the design that has been given to us, that even if we are not able to protect ourselves, there will be something is inside of us that will make us commit certain actions and do certain things in order to protect ourselves, in order to make the right kind of choices, the right kind of decisions. Whatever we do, if we want to control our activity, if we want to control the things that are happening in our life, partial control has been given to us. We say it is destiny, it is fate, it is that what is to be, it will happen. No. It is ultimate control is there with the Supreme Consciousness. Partial control he has given to the systems and the design within us that we call the immunity. Whenever we have a fever or a jaundice or any kind of disease, it is the immunity that protects us. In the same way, any potential threat, it can be in the form of a human, it can be in the form of an animal, in the form of a natural calamity. Even if when you're sleeping, you're deep down sleeping, you are unaware of an enemy who is just standing outside of your door, then it is that consciousness, it is that nerves with those, is that right hand side of the nostril, those tissues that will alert you, and you will wake up from your sleep. And this is not in our hands, this is a gift of that Supreme Consciousness, and he is enabling us, he has empowered us in such a way that we need not be slaves of our minds, of anybody else's mind, of any object, any human being, nothing. No dependency. What the slavery? Get out of the slavery. Let's make a conscious attempt to get out of the slavery. Let's make a conscious attempt to not do slaves of those organizations who's running our 9 to 5, who's not just controlling, we are not giving our 9 to 5 to those organizations, but the way they treat us, the way they behave us, the paycheck that they give us, that is controlling our entire, not just 9 to 5, but even that 5 to 9, those hours are also being controlled by the means of mood swings, by the means of the entire thinking process that is being channelized and that is being controlled and trained by those organizations. We are gifting our minds to those organizations to train it, to subconsciously also train it in a way, and to instill that fear that without those organizations, without those societal standards, without those paychecks, without the bank balance, we are of no use, and that we ourselves cannot accumulate or make that bank balance. If we divorce those organizations, then we will be good for nothing and we will not be able to accumulate that kind of wealth. Whereas it is just opposite of that. If we save all energy to ourselves and focus on a particular goal and make up our minds not to be slave of anything, not to be even slave of your own business if you're doing any, not to be a slave of anything, then the amount of growth, the potential growth, you will be able to unleash those parts of your brain which you have not explored till now, because you have not devoted that kind of time, you have not given that kind of time to your brain, because the brain has been constantly studying and doing those courses. And then first we are slaves to those schools, then we are slaves to those colleges, then we are slaves to those friends, those partners, those human beings, we are slaves to the organizations, we are slaves to our colleagues, we are slaves to the society, how people think of us, and are we being able to fit in or not, and how are we being judged. We are being slave to those judgments, and we should be slave to just one, that is that supreme consciousness, but we ignore that supreme consciousness because that power is not visible. He has given everything, he has designed everything within us, but we choose not to be a slave of him. We choose not to follow the instruction and the guidance that he has given us. He has given us the guidance to empower ourselves and not to be a slave of anything or any wish or any other desire that has been controlled by some other human being who is an exact equivalent of us, but we choose to do the opposite. So let's not do it. With the means of that breathing technique, we can take partial control and improve our cognition and life to a great extent. Just focus on your breathing. When you're doing it mindfully, 12 to 13 minutes, okay? When we are exhaling and inhaling, make use of your nose and be very mindful and alert of the smell cortex of the tissues, because when we mindfully do that breathing, that tissue gets activated and it functions more, and it's able to send the right kind of signals that improves the cognition level. Do it for just 10 to 15 days and instant result you'll be able to see. You are self-sufficient. Just let's make use of it. Bread, 41 days of life-changing experience, life-changing course, no dependency, what the slavery, bread.